enjoy this one right here on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. That is what's known as a dry opening.
Hey now.
Happy Libations Friday. We got nothing. We got no audio as far as the music goes to start the show. So it's just a raw, how you doing, everybody? Good to be with you. Good to be back with you. Good to be on the air after Florida State gets it done with a win, and an exhilarating one at that against Oklahoma in the Cheez-It Bowl. Exhale. Whew. What a night. Good season. As I tweeted out late last night before exiting Camping World Stadium there in the light, in the basking glow of a victory, right? Onward and upward for Florida State. They're not perfect yet. They're not close to being a finished product yet, but man, they were the best team in the state, and they were a top 15 team, and they won 10 games, and they have now announced that they're ready to play big boy football again, and that is important. That's really what this year was about. In fact, what this season was about more than anything else was again reestablishing this as a viable place to come play football, a viable place to come coach football. If you wanted to make changes to your staff at all, you are now in a place of stability, and I think that's important to note, because we get caught up in the emotions of each game and the good plays, the bad plays, and everything in between, and we talk about areas that need to improve, whether it's a segment group or whether it's that staff or whatever it might be. But really, you had to reestablish yourself this season as a viable place that is on the rise and that is in a position to succeed moving forward. And you had to prove it on the field. This was about getting wins. You know, a lot of times you'll hear coaches, most of the time, you'll hear coaches talk a lot about process. And at some point, process has to turn into victories. It has to be about results. It's a process towards results, you know, at some point. If we go about the process of trying to lose weight and change our diet and our workout and we remain fat, well, then the process is flawed because the results are not there, and you're going to have to do something different. So at some point, it does become results oriented, and it's the work that you put in, and it's the reflection back right here. What do you see in the mirror? How are you? Well, Florida State's healthy. Florida State's in a good spot now. That's what this season proved. Florida State is in a good spot. And now we can talk at it and about it very differently. It's fun now to get into the minutia. It's fun now to get into the finer points of what has to change and what continues to be strong and what is something that is elevated from where it was to where it could be, to where hopefully, obviously, you know, you're moving on to putting out other fires and things of that ilk. So congratulations to Mike Norvell and his staff. Congratulations to the kids who worked so hard to have the 10-win season, to get the bowl victory, to be the best team in the state, and to now be in a position to kind of use this as the jumping off point for hopefully something that's building to being special. You know, I did a preview this morning for On 3 in which I spoke with the Georgia On 3 site in getting ready to preview their game against Ohio State, which should be a fun game. And I've had the ability this year, and it's been fun for me to work with On 3 in this way, to talk with other fan bases and other groups. And, you know, obviously when you're talking to Ohio State, or you're talking to Georgia, or you're talking to Clemson, or you're talking to these other programs, they're talking about it from a standpoint of, are we going to win the national championship? How close are we to winning a national championship? And every time I do that, it's not hard for me to harken back to where that was us. It's not hard for me to think about the way that we viewed seasons and upcoming seasons and games from that lens of, oh, well, we've established now we're this. It's a matter of, can you win these 2 or 3 games, these biggest moments on your schedule? Florida State is trying to get to that. And this game last night reminded me of how much further we have to go, while also letting it wash over me that we're in a position to have a much different discussion about what's possible. And that's because this season was a success.
Yeah, this offense is missing just one piece. It needs one more piece to the puzzle in order to be college football elite and good enough to get you into the playoff on merit, not with luck. And what that one element is in 3rd and short, 2nd and goal from the 1, 4th and 1 late in the game, when the world knows that you need a yard, can you get the yard? We can't. We didn't yesterday. We had to go trickeration after failures early on in the game, 1st and goal from the 5. We want to go in on the ground. We can't. Later on, for the first time all season, the fullback dive to DJ Lundy does not work. We got to go Wildcat to get that yard. The middle portion of the game, you've got a 3rd and 1.5 near midfield. You get half of the yardage you need on the first carry, second carry completely stoned, turned away, turnover on downs. If you add the element through the portal, through the development of the offensive line, that you can get on 3rd and 1 against the better defensive lines that you're going to see on next year's schedule, the world knows it's coming, and you still get it, this offense at that point, I don't think has a weakness. And if you look around college football next year and you see some of these teams, especially that are in the playoff and playoff contenders, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, all breaking in brand new quarterbacks. From the quarterback standpoint, Florida State has one of the veterans in the game, one of the most lethal players in the game. The question is, can you get that extra element on offense to be truly, truly elite? And then what are you going to do on defense to fix some of your problems? Because at that point, then you are talking about a legitimate playoff contender, not a team that goes to the playoff and gets blown out. Somebody does that every year, but one that can contend at that level, and they're not done yet in the portal. Keep going, collective. Keep going, Florida State.
Well, they're about to get, we think, if you are to believe what we're hearing right now, some more good news out of the portal for Florida State coming up here soon. So cross your fingers that gets done. And they are going about improving the roster. I tweeted out last night, Tom, only 2 things. I rather loathe Twitter, but every now and then just an observation from, being in the stands and watching this team play. It's worth doing. I just commented that they're not tough enough yet. And that speaks to the line of scrimmage for both sides of the line of scrimmage, really. When I do that, I want people to understand that I'm talking about championship level aspirations. It's not like they're not. I mean, obviously they won 10 games this year. They boat raced Miami. They, won 6 straight. Their offense put up prolific numbers. Last night they had over 400 yards passing. They did a lot of things really well. I'm talking about it in the way of comparison to where you have to be to win a championship. And something I noticed, and I think this is all part of the growing up process. It'll happen. Comes in stages. You don't make it all up at once. They doubled their win total. So, obviously they made obvious progress. But the stages that you watch for and you check the boxes, when they play teams that have equal talent or slightly above talent, certainly physically, the bigger, stronger, faster teams, the guys that can run with you, can hit you, they're not tough enough yet. They get hit in the face a lot and look for penalties. Like, just noticing body language. How many times did Oklahoma play to the echo of the whistle in the first quarter, establishing for the night the way the game was going to be played? Like, clearly OU wanted to make a statement that they were there to play, that they were tired of being told they suck. They were tired of being told they couldn't win. I'm sure they were offended by the point spread. I'm sure Brent Venables and OU's faithful reminded them that you own Florida State. You're 6-1 against them, and many times Florida State's been favored against OU and lost that game. So they came with a little bit of an attitude. If you look at the recruiting rankings the last several years, they've out-recruited Florida State by a lot. They got better players in a lot of positions.
You can see that.
You can see it. And they were the more physical team early. Now, I thought after we got down, they responded. Florida State, like they did all year long, showed their character and responded to kind of the new standard of the day. They stopped getting up and looking around for penalties. Then they started playing the game. The whole time in my head, I'm like, play the game, man. They'll throw the flag or they'll throw the flag or they won't. Play the game. If that guy hits you in that moment, hit back. And you started to see them kind of get a little edgier as the game went on, which this mirrored the Florida game in that way. Florida was the more physical team. Florida pushed them around early on because Florida's offensive line is very good. And they were absolutely setting the terms of the fight in that game, just like last night. And it took a while for us to adjust. That doesn't happen to the elite teams, right? Georgia's going to be physical from snap one. You watch these games, you'll see, obviously, Ohio State will be physical. Michigan will be physical from snap one. That's what they've established now who they are. That's where Florida State's got to get to. But they they're on the run towards that. I mean, it's not like you say, "Oh, they didn't have it this year, they can't get it." Oh, but this is all part of the steps you're taking to get to a place where you are setting the tone and you are setting the rules of engagement.
Yeah, again, these are two 500 teams that you're playing to finish the season. And I, like you, often look at a bowl game and I say, I'm not going to take that as seriously. The results,
Yeah.
the way the game plays out, the flow of the game, it's not the same as the regular season. So if I'm trying to weight what I see, put some weight on it, I'm looking more at a regular season game than I am a bowl game. However, in this case, you can pair what happened last night in the trenches with the Florida game.
Yeah.
So now you've got a trend. And what you also have is a lesson. The great thing is when you can win, when there's a lesson to be learned.
It's the best part. It's the best way to go about assessing your weakness after a win.
Exactly. If you blow out Florida to finish the season and you win this game comfortably from ahead the entire way, maybe there isn't as much urgency in different levels of the organization as you hit the offseason. Maybe you're going to read your press clippings a little bit more. Instead, you just got 120 minutes of being pushed to the brink by two teams that are effectively a 500 football team, give or take. That's what you got to improve on in the offseason. Now, the good news is, upon rewatch, I did the watch along with Dominic Robinson last night, and that was a lot of fun and insightful as always. But on the rewatch, I was more impressed with Jordan Travis the second time that I looked through the game. I knew he was good. I didn't know how good. He is on the brink. He is on the brink, I think, of this offseason of adding anticipatory throws to his repertoire.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you.
There were a few of those last night that look even better than what he did in the regular season. The continued growth of Jordan Travis has not stopped, and I can't wait to see what's in store for him next season because there are a few throws. There's a deep in early on in the game, one to Johnny Wilson, that's an out-cutting route, and then the touchdown to Pokey. That all is some of that next-level stuff. Sunday-type throws. I know what his body type is. It doesn't scream NFL, but he's making some Sunday-type throws, and he had to, yesterday, maneuver around the pocket, climb the pocket, which is something that you do only if you have the utmost confidence. Break, contain, keep your eyes down the field, and fire. A lot of really, really good stuff from 13 last night.
It's exciting. There's a lot of elements to what Florida State has coming back that we should be excited about. And when you talk about needing to progress and needing to get more physical and needing to be more consistent in games, you're really talking about the finer points of being great, of reaching greatness, of trying to be more consistently dominant at the point of attack. These kinds of things. So that's, you've got to take those kinds of assessments and criticisms with the understanding that there's no denying how much better Florida State is now than they were at the start of the season. There's no denying how much better Florida State can get and be and the path towards it. Again, these are areas I've repeatedly said that when we play good teams, when we face good offenses, the numbers aren't there for Florida State's defense. It's not good. They don't get stops against good teams. They just don't. Florida's offense is pretty good, dominated our defense. If you go back, Clemson's offense was average, and they were really good against us here in our own backyard. Wake did whatever they wanted for 3 quarters against us on offense. Those things are frustrating. Even against LSU, where we did first game of the year, nice. That's a brand new coaching staff for LSU, brand new team. Basically, had a freshman at tackle who's going to be a stud for them. They moved the ball a little bit too easy in the second half as well. And I thought for the most part, Florida State answered the call in that first game. But you're seeing a trend there defensively, especially in the secondary. That secondary is suspect, whether it be a caliber of player or coaching or both. I think it's both. And then I would also suggest that the more physical linebacking core last night was Oklahoma's as opposed to Florida State. And that's just because Florida State's not deep enough there either.
No, some of the things that happened last night, first of all, they got banged up a lot in the secondary.
Yeah, they did.
A lot of reserves coming in, all different parts of the game. But even before that happened, you see a lot of late communication at the line of scrimmage. We weren't set, and we weren't ready to go at the snap. That's frustrating because, if you look at the core up the middle of the defense, you've got 4 veterans, 2 linebackers, and 2 safeties that have been around. So what's taking so long? What gives here? I thought Azareye'h Thomas had some flash moments last night, one of which was in zone, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
He turned down a flat,
Stunning.
He took over the corner on a 3rd and long, and he might have had a pick, but no matter what, that's a really good play. Also some good coverage, one of the few punts that Oklahoma had in the first half. Good coverage on a 3rd down where there was nothing there, and Gabriel had to throw the ball away into the sideline. So there was some life there from 20. But I also was very concerned by what I saw out of linebacking core because early in this game, they were just kind of guessing what gap to go hit. And Oklahoma was hitting on some big runs. And with,
Oklahoma continued to hit on some big runs
well,
the whole game.
That's the thing is they had us all cattywampus too. In the second half, they're mentally exhausted as much as they're physically exhausted when Oklahoma's running left and right.
I thought it was a smart game plan, by the way. Venables did a good job with that team.
He did both ways, because they were not going to let us outside them on the ground when we were on offense. You could see that they were throwing bodies at the problem, but then also he's like, the hell with this counter and outside zone stuff. I'm going to have guys waiting. You're not going to get outside of us. Happened on 2 occasions. One was a Lawrence Toafili run early on. He got banged up in the game. And the second time was a Trey Benson counter where he breaks a tackle in the backfield. And then he gets around the corner for 11 yards. Other than that, I don't think we ever got outside them. And we gave up contain all the time last night on the ground.
We did for much of the year. Yeah. It's a problem. This is where we're going to have most of the conversation, I think, moving forward, is on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, you can complain, and I hear a lot of guys in the stands do this. Play in, play out. They get frustrated with a play call, which is funny. But people get upset about play calling all the time. Everybody is an OC. Yet when the numbers are revealed and you throw for over 400 and something yards against somebody, and you statistically game in and game out down the stretch of 6 games average almost over 40, you do average over 40 points a game, you're all right on offense, guys. You're all right on offense.
What was interesting about the first half, very quickly, a quick aside, is that we look like ass on offense for a lot of that first half. And yet we're nearly at 300 yards at the break. Like, if you look at the yards per play, and I mean, I know a lot of it was chunk yardage, but even when this is how dangerous this offense can be. Even when we were bad in the first half, and anybody who saw it, anybody who watched the game on television or in the stands, they saw that's not us. We're better than that. And you're still averaging 7-8 yards a clip, and you're still pushing it on pace for 550, 600 yards. I mean, the floor in this offense is pretty scary.
Yeah, he is. He is, meaning Jordan Travis, when you let him throw the ball, when you let him get after it, once they kind of, and I'm big on establishing the run. I'm big on being more physical in the trenches in order to run the ball, which sets everything up. I always want to go in that route. I thought early it was pretty obvious, more than, well, I'd have to go back and look. You did the rewatch. I drove from Orlando last night and did not do the rewatch yet this morning. I'm going to be honest with you. But I would tell you that I thought that Oklahoma was determined to make sure it wasn't a neutral box, and they were going to take away the run.
When it was, we had some success.
When it was. But they were telling you, we're not going to give that up.
Correct.
We're not going to give that up. So once they decided to commit a body to the problem and do the math, I thought, come on, Mike, let's go. Let's throw the ball. And we did. We eventually did. Hit them on big plays, obviously. And so, listen, today is a good day. Today's a day to reflect on a season in which Florida State did what they had to do. I would right now much rather be us than Florida and Miami. And you start in the state. You start trying to win those battles, and win totals on the field will affect those battles. I'm not talking about the in-game battles in which you have more points than they have. I'm talking about recruiting. I'm talking about the long-term viability of a program. Florida State's got a slight head start right now, which is nice because this season provides that. And by the way, if they decide to make some changes on this staff, I don't know if they will or they won't. This is the time Mike will begin to assess now what he's going to do. I wouldn't look for a lot of changes. If he makes a change, I believe it might be one coach, maybe 2 at most. Even then, I wouldn't count on that. Now, I've let it be known what I would do, but it doesn't matter what I would do. I think they're going to stay pretty close to status quo with that staff. There may be a change. We'll see. But they're in a good position right now. And again, I think they're going to add to this class that we just talked about. Let's see how much more physical they are next year. Let's see how much better, if at all, they communicate defensively next year. That's going to be important. Oh, by the way, this is your daily assessment of the big 3 that returned for this game and guys that we've been wondering about. I'm still hearing 2 of the 3 will be back. 2 of the 3. That's interesting, and it's notable.
It is, and let me just lend a little bit of context to one of the 3, because I'm
Oh, people are worried about Fabian Love. Yeah.
Well, I'm totally confused about Jamie Robinson because before the game starts yesterday on social media, he puts last one with a collection of 4 pictures on his Twitter. I don't know if he did the same on other accounts. And then after the game, he says, "I've got a surprise for everybody on New Year's Day." So I don't know.
I think he's having a lot of fun with the process.
Yeah.
I don't know what he'll do. To be honest with you, when I have this conversation with the people that would know, they tell you, we think we're getting 2 of the 3, and we can't even tell you which of the 2 it is. It changes a lot. I think, and I'll just say this, that we've got a better than 50-50 chance at retaining a guy that would be the one that everybody thought would leave. I mean, that we got a better than 50% chance to take the guy that's most NFL viable as we sit here today.
Most NFL viable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We all know who that is.
That's right. And for a variety of reasons, we've got a real good chance to get him back. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Every great construction project, whether it's a new addition or renovation, starts with a plan. At T-Spark, we are excited when our clients contact us to assist with that plan. Through our team of architects, draftsmen, engineers, we can help you with your project's planning and design, potentially saving costs in the long run. Whether you have a residential or commercial project, we look forward to working with you. Call us today or visit us at tsparkconstruction.com. License number CGC 1525336.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry books to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186. We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for over 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise.
I'm Andy Cohen with Florida Farm Bureau Insurance. Please call me at 850-671-FARM.
Car accident? Call 777-7777 for Basic Brooks.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Clean, renewable energy means fresher air, healthier residents, new green jobs, and a stronger, more resilient community. How we get there is up to you. Share your input today to help shape the Tallahassee of tomorrow. Take the Clean Energy Survey at talgov.com.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did. Happy holidays.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com. And with that, I'm talking. And with that, I'm talking because we got no intro music today, everybody. You won't have to wait in the Warchant TV room where you're normally waiting for me to music in progress, sound returns soon. You won't have to do that. You can get rid of that damn thing. We're just going straight at it
for a day. In 2023,
for now,
2023, it's going to be a little different, folks.
Last show of the year, and it is a bit of a recap. And forgive I'm not full of gusto today. Is little beleaguered. Had a just for the right reasons though, guys. I saw Florida Man in Texas was wondering how much coffee and so forth I needed this morning to be able to come in, thinking that I was celebrating.
Woo!
Yeah,
go for super chats today.
Yeah,
jump in.
Not a drop during the game. Not a drop.
Well, not if you're driving back after.
No.
Went through, I hope, again, I said this yesterday on the shows that I did, but I hope everybody's okay. 5 different accidents.
Is that right?
Yeah, it took me 5 hours to get home yesterday.
Oh, it sucks for you, buddy. It did not take me that amount of time because I was driving in the dead of night.
That was hurtful. The old tailbone.
Yeah,
I got a tailbone injury from playing roughhousing as a young kid.
Yeah.
And it was not happy after being in the car and then on the bar stool for the in my office. We're going to have to get a better chair in 2023 for those live shows.
Let me say thank you to those of you I had the opportunity and the privilege of meeting at the Jeff Cameron Show Warchant meet and greet combo that we had at Harry Buffalo and after, and those walking around Orlando that I ran into. And I had a lunch with a dear friend that came up from Miami, and we were sitting outside on a patio. It was beautiful and enjoying some pizza. And table next to us, big fan of the Jeff Cameron Show, bought me a drink pregame, so we enjoyed that. That was fun.
Nice.
And
what'd you have, an IPA?
I did not. I actually had a Tito's lime and soda.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, just laid back, kept it clean, just enjoyed that. But that was on them. That was awfully friendly. Hey, listen, we are very fortunate to have a great group of listeners and supporters, and I just wanted to make sure I thanked everybody out there because I did meet a lot of people, a lot of really nice folks that said nice things and very supportive and kind, and we really do appreciate it. Good times.
It's a good fan base. I'm not just talking about the Knowles, the people, the community of the JCS, the community of Warchant, a lot of very, very nice people. I wanted to ask you, though, upon the rewatch, I don't get I don't get the broadcast audio when we're doing the watch along. It's on mute. But upon the rewatch, it sounded loud as hell in that building last night.
It was packed. It was great. It was loud. It was very, very, very festive. It was a great atmosphere. I was so happy for my boys to be able to be there because they were really experiencing a true bowl. Well, they haven't had a chance. If you think about how bad we've been and how young, like Clark is 12. We haven't been any good. So the last time, I mean, he doesn't remember being at a bowl game, seeing anything. So here you go. Now it's like, hey, and that was really cool.
What was it? 70-30 Knowles?
80-20.
80-20.
Yeah, it was a home game, man. It was a home game. Oklahoma acquitted themselves well. That was the fans that were there were good, and then also they hung in there. That was a tough team. They're not devoid of talent,
and that's something we talked about at the various shows that we did at Harry Buffalo. The extra hour for the pregame or the live show was okay. You can look at it multiple ways. Before the bowl game, they were 3-6 to wrap up the season. That's not good at all. They did get blown out by TCU. They got destroyed by Texas. But if you look at the remainder of the season, how they went from that point forward, they went down to the wire with Kansas State, who everybody believes is a pretty good football team, beat Oklahoma State, down to the wire with West Virginia, and with Texas Tech, they lost in overtime in their season finale. So this was a group that was capable of playing with decent teams all the way up to, again, I don't think anybody is looking down on K-State this season. That was a good football team.
Good team, yeah.
And that's the group that we got. The disappointing part for Florida State is even though we did have 6 sacks last night, one of them would have had a 7th if not for a face mask.
Right.
That offensive line with a lot of different replacement players still handled business against our defensive line more than you would like to. When you take away the sack yardage in the rushing game, They ran for 290 yards and 5.5 yards a clip. Unacceptable.
And they were a team that I would argue, much like, so I'll give you a good example. Tennessee is getting ready to play, obviously, now without their quarterback and without their best receiver. So you lose the best receiver in the country and you lose a Heisman candidate quarterback. We'll see how Tennessee plays in this game against Clemson in the Orange Bowl. But you know that in the SEC, Tennessee ran for 200 yards a game. Well, the reason I bring it up, they would do that to us. That's my point. There are teams like that. People talk about, well, we did this or our team is, man, go identify the teams that can run, that are really physical, that, do that in a better conference. We'd have a problem with that. You can run the ball. They have a good quarterback. Their offense is good, period.
And they made some significant plays in this game last night that had nothing to do with the run, whether it was Gabriel scrambling early on that first drive for a 3rd and 8 for a drive extender. But then how about Marvin Mims? I mean, a lot of those are 50-50 balls, maybe 30-70.
Caught everything.
I mean, some of these are just circus catches, but they extend drives. And I saw in the chat, I agree with, I think it was CJ, but this was a turning point in the football game. That Mims makes the catch on 3rd and forever down the left sideline. He gets his foot down. It's a legitimate catch.
Which is infuriating because live in the stadium, you're like, there's no way that's a catch.
Even from the live play-by-play angle, you had to see the second replay to realize, oh, my God, he
got
did
his
get
foot
down.
down. Yeah.
I was thinking, Mike, timeout. Let them go review this. They score a rushing touchdown on the next play, but there's a hold. And that changed everything. It was 14-3 at the game.
Yeah,
at that point in the game. 11, I think it was 11 and a half minutes to go in the second quarter. It was a legitimate hold. Brendan Gant drew it, and it affected the play. It was in the hole.
It was the right call. Yeah, I could see it live.
And then from there, you get the miss because you hold them down. They run a draw on 3rd and 18 or whatever, and then Jared Verse blows it up for a TFL. They miss the field goal. We go down. We score, and it's a different ball game from that point on. But while we were looking for calls and not getting them, the one we did get was critical because I don't know where we go if that touchdown counts. If it's 20-3, they're on pace for 40 to 50 points. I think the Sooners are, and they almost scored 40 to 50 points anyway in this game.
Well, I again this is going to be a broken record, and it will be interesting to find out what we do. I mean, I think when you self-scout, there's no way around the fact that you have real problems defensively. You're not an elite defensive unit. You are better in some areas, but you're pretty weak when compared to championship caliber teams in other areas from a personnel standpoint, but I also believe coaching standpoint on the defensive side of the ball. Now, I will also note that there are teams that have elite players throughout their roster. Ohio State's a good example. Throughout their roster that don't get a ton of stops. Like college football, pro football, I mean, it's a game geared towards offenses. Offenses rule the day. Elite offenses are going – it used to be, we all knew the mantra, championships are won on defense and all that. And the game has changed. I mean, elite offenses go out there and light up good defenses all the time. So I don't want anybody to get the impression that I go into games with this antiquated view of what a good defense looks like. I think a good defense going against a really good offense, the standard now is kind of like, can you hold them to 24, 21, somewhere in there? Because they're going to score. If they've got elite players, they're going to score. But I also think that you have to have a better realm of consistency and physicality to you on defense. You also have to communicate better. And if you're not communicating at this point, it means that there's a disconnect on defense with the coaching staff and the players.
Well, and you don't have to give up 500 yards. There's no rule against that. This isn't so
ideally.
It's not arena football. It hasn't skewed that way. You're correct. The threshold for a good defensive performance is now it's into the low 20s on average. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But you don't have to give up nearly 300 yards on the ground. You don't have to give up nearly 500 yards in this ball game. And look, turnover luck finally went Florida State's way in the second half.
Well, that fumble on the long run up,
they're going to score.
They're going to score. Well, we're in trouble at that point. We're in real trouble there. That fumble changed the game also because we go down and score, and now they're catching up, having to catch up, and it just changes who's going to have the key possession with the least amount of time. That gave us the opportunity to run that clock to where it was because they were playing catch up, and they could only tie. I actually thought after we scored, just to go through my thought in the stands, I turned to my son. I said, if Venables is smart, he now knows that they're not stopping Jordan Travis in this offense. They're not. And they had trouble stopping people all year long. So it's not new to him to be on the wrong side of somebody lighting up their defense. So he's got to be looking at that. And I thought, okay, you look at time, consider the circumstances. Oklahoma has nothing to lose. They were significant underdogs coming off a 6-6 campaign. Here they are with an opportunity to go down and take the lead. Or go down and tie the game. Had they done it, I would have gone for 2. He didn't. They did do it, I should say. He didn't go for 2, kick the extra point. I'd have gone for 2 there if I could have gotten more time off the clock, but he didn't. There was enough time for us either way, so he just decided, screw it, I'll tie it up.
Yep, we had 3.5 to go.
If he could have got it to 1.5, I'd have gone for 2. That's what I think he might have done, but there was too much time.
What's fascinating about last night with Venables, too, is I agree. I think the game plan was sound both ways. He oversees the offensive game plan, as in they report to him, but that's Levy, and that's what they do over there. The defensive game plan was wise, try and take away the run. They did, I think, largely do that, especially they took away our bread and butter. We could not run our bread and butter play, and they did a good job of that. But then he made a couple of boneheaded mistakes in terms of special teams decisions and clock management that just, I have no idea what the hell he was thinking. First was, they're deep in our territory. It's a 4th and 4. I think it was a 3rd and 20 something. And they call a draw.
I could not believe he did that. Yeah.
So it looked like they were going to call a fake. And then maybe we were in punt safe. And so they called the timeout. And I thought for sure the offense is now going to come on.
Jog back out on the field. Exactly.
They did not. I was stunned. Again, for the reasons you're enumerating too. What do you have to lose? And then before the half, you squib it, and we have the ball near the 40. We get a free crack at a field goal. Hell is wrong with you, Brent?
But nobody on earth thought that field goal was going in, and it did not.
I had mediocre hope on that one because it's a low leverage kick. He has the leg, but he struck that. D-Rob and I were talking. I said that feels like one off the, no pun intended, off the toe on the tee. I'm like, ooh, didn't catch all of that one.
He doesn't have that great a leg, though.
But he's hit from 53, and we've seen in practice that he can go 55 to 60. But yeah, that wasn't.
Yeah, he's.
What concerned me.
It was
greatly,
that close, though. If Jordan Travis had got another 5 yards, yes.
Yes. What concerned me greatly about that, and we should have called timeouts on the other side of it before the Oklahoma. I don't know what the hell we were doing.
You were worried about how low he has to kick that to make it get a block.
Well, sort of. You're thinking ahead because the PAT to tie it at 25 almost scraped the helmets at the line of scrimmage.
And he looked like he stopped his follow through, and he had a look of like, ooh.
That snap might have been a little bit, but
it messed him up.
It concerned me so greatly after seeing that PAT
that when we tied it
on 3rd down, we call a run to the left.
Well, they're setting up the field goal, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
You could kick a field goal after putting the ball in Jordan Travis's hands in that situation. I don't think he's going to make the NC State mistake again.
He wanted them to have to use their final timeout,
which they kept because of the unfortunate injury to Jazz Turntime. They already had used it. They got it back for the injury timeout.
Well, when he was hurt, and I was sad for him.
That is just heartbreaking.
Stinks. When it happened, admittedly, after expressing sadness for his injury, I did lament, damn it, they're not going to have to use their timeout.
Yeah, but here's what's dumb about that. A first down effectively ends the game. You don't need a touchdown there. It's 3rd and 6 or whatever it is, but you can get a first down or a touchdown. Maybe they're defending the end line, thinking you take the shot. You get the first down. Now that one timeout that they have left is irrelevant.
Yeah.
You put your knee to the ground twice, 3 times, whatever you want to do, get the clock down, and you kick it as the game's over. I thought that was a very weak call.
I didn't mind playing for a chip shot. I mean, they're playing for a chip shot. It didn't bother me. It bothered
me because they have the timeout and you want them to burn it, but there's still 55 left with that defense getting carved up. That's an awful lot of time, man. I want to go put the ball in Jordan Travis's hands to go win the football game. Not Trey Benson. He didn't have a good night on the ground.
Well, but they weren't trying to win the game with Trey Benson. They were trying to run clock. They were trying to get a chip shot field. It worked, and it was right down the pipe. Give him credit. Played for it.
This is not Fitzy's fault. I'm just saying, Mike, I mean, in that situation next year, if it's LSU down the stretch, and your defense has given up a bunch of points in the second half. I mean, they did it this year. LSU went down and scored. If you can hold on to the ball and run out the clock.
I agree, but in Hawaii, Noel just brought it up, and I agree with him here on this one. We were getting carved up on the ground. I wasn't worried knowing they had to pass with one time. I was like, fine. You know what? We'll be all right here. And it worked.
I mean, how many coverage busts did we have last night, Hawaii?
You're not going to have a coverage bust with 55 seconds to play knowing the only thing that can beat you
is against LSU.
We're not. Well, that was a scramble around craziness, throw the ball around. I mean, that was mostly.
We couldn't cover there. Now, one of the key plays on that drive was we stopped 9 short of the line to gain on first down.
Runs the clock, and then from there, they get a false start, which is a 10-second runoff.
Which the ref had to be reminded of.
Which was crazy. And then you get the sack as well, and you have a hold. So they were screwed. I mean, they were in trouble on that last drive. You got to give the defense credit on that drive specifically. Yeah. Dominated. Did everything right. And they never do everything right, ever. Not against good offenses. And they did. So I give them credit for that. Jeff Cameron, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Now,
Governor DeSantis last week joined 24 other Republican governors in asking President Joe Biden to end a COVID-19 emergency declaration that has helped lead to a surge in enrollment in Florida's Medicaid program. The governor sent a letter that urged Biden to allow a federal public health emergency to expire in April. The emergency declaration was initially issued in 2020 and has been repeatedly extended. The letter said it has been extended until at least January 11th, though states believe it will be extended to April. Medicaid is jointly funded by state and federal governments. State and Medicaid programs have not been able to drop beneficiaries who might otherwise be ineligible for coverage. That has helped swell Medicaid rolls in Florida and other states. Medicaid, which serves low-income Floridians, seniors, and people with disabilities, is a massive part of each year's state budget. Lawmakers in March approved a 2022-2023 budget that included $38.6 billion for the Agency for Healthcare Administration, which operates most of the program. This is Rachel Lene with your World Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
this is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Slight chance for scattered storms this afternoon. Otherwise, mainly cloudy skies expected. Highs around 75, winds out of the southeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overcast skies tonight, scattered thunderstorms likely, lows level off around 62. Scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. Highs level off around 72, cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 70.
What do you need tires on? Your car or truck, tractor, or heavy equipment? At Nice Tire and Auto Service, we have tires for all of these needs. And we service your vehicle from air conditioning and computerized alignment to oil changes and everything else under the hood. Call Nice Tire and Auto today at 574-4100. That's 574-4100 for your scheduled maintenance. National accounts welcome at Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
Jeff, look at this beautiful day, man.
Yeah, it's getting a little chilly. I like it. You know, I'm a colder weather guy, but I worry about it for you because you can't wear the Speedo in the cold. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to wear a Speedo in the cold.
Jeff, it's always Speedo weather, man. We can always do this. Besides, my pool, it's heated.
Which means you're insufferable in a Speedo year-round?
Cannonball!
Still gross.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Matt.
Yes, Greg?
You know all the different ways that you can listen to Real Talk 93.3?
There are several.
So we've got realtalk93.com. You can go back and listen to all of our shows in the podcast section.
That's right. You can also listen on our app as well.
Search Real Talk 93.3 and look for the red microphone and download our app. Never go anywhere without us.
And of course, you can always listen right on the radio.
Well, they are listening.
Are they?
If they're hearing this commercial, then they're listening.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Yeah, we're back. And it's just as awkward as it was last time without any intro music. So it is. We'll get this fixed. It'll happen before the batch of shows to kick off the new year. This being the last of the shows for 2022. Man, it's weird to say. I'm still in a fog from Orlando, just in the travel and we had a whirlwind in the amount of work that we were doing there in a good way. In a good way. It was a lot of fun to do. And again, thanks to everybody who came out. That was fun. But it's you do that. You're there. You're concentrating on the work you got to do. Then the game itself. You're wrapped up. At least I was wrapped up in the game, having a blast, and then driving back last night and waking up this morning. Kind of just feels like I'm in a haze, figuring out. But now with about an hour to go, a little over an hour to go, we will exhale and enjoy some of these other games. Speaking of which, it's halftime between Maryland and NC State. If you're driving about and don't know the score or aren't around a television, it's 10-9 Maryland leading NC State. And coming up here shortly, you've got Pitt and UCLA. There's bowl games on all day. This is a good day. Notre Dame and South Carolina. On paper, looks like a fun game at 3:30. I don't know that it will be because it could very well be just a matter of the fact that South Carolina has Spencer Rattler in this game. Notre Dame does not have Drew Pine. So, I mean, he's gone. So all of a sudden you got one guy who has a quarterback, one guy who doesn't have a quarterback, or at least one that didn't play. So South Carolina, and if let's not forget Spencer Rattler, who I've largely made fun of for the bulk of his career, has had back-to-back 400-yard games and beating Tennessee and Clemson. All right, so, we'll see. They're playing well right now. Later on, Ohio and Wyoming, which a lot of you won't care about, but people know my love for Wyoming.
Hey, but there's plenty of folks in the chat who love Wyoming.
That's true.
It's kind of like Vikings fans. You just find a bunch
they're
of people
everywhere.
who like Wyoming.
Mm-hmm. And then finally tonight, it culminates with what's an interesting matchup. These two teams do not look like they did in the regular season, missing very key players. Both teams are Tennessee and Clemson tonight in the Orange Bowl. Way too much orange for my liking, but a good matchup and a fun game potentially.
This is very much a what day is it feel internally. I think all of us are going through it right now.
It's the 30th, not the 31st.
Well,
right? Yeah.
And what day of the week? I was getting in the car today, and I looked at the trash cans, and I said, oh, yeah, I got to put those out tomorrow. No, Wednesday is the day you put out the trash cans. Tomorrow's Saturday.
For you, Tuesday for us.
Oh, is it really? Yeah. Well, I can't figure out what day it is because usually the day after a game, we're watching the NFL, but we're not doing that. Usually there's a smash, and we're not doing that on Warchant TV because we got a live show today. But then it's the weekend tomorrow. This is just kind of
glorious. Welcome to the weekend.
Welcome to an observed holiday on Monday as well, buddy. That's also good.
I will also doff the cap to the ladies who went on the road and knocked off North Carolina in basketball yesterday. Told them, get you some. Nicely done for the basketball team. At least one of our basketball teams is hanging in there.
The whispers around that program, I'm not going to pretend to cover it. I'm not going to do that thing.
No,
where
well,
you could hear people struggle and they're like, yeah, I saw it. No, you didn't. You did not. But people around the beat do, and they, everybody's got their little niche. Like I like softball a lot. And so people are like, hey, what do you think? The culture around that program, according to the people who really are invested in FSU women's basketball, the culture has improved dramatically in the last couple of years, which I find interesting because
good job, Brooke Wyckoff.
Because Sue is fantastic. And she has for a long time had a strong culture, but it sounded like they needed a bit of an overhaul. So good job, Coach.
Sometimes new set of eyes. Of course, she was already on the staff. Brooke was. So, hired from within.
And
so
that interim year was pretty well done. Yeah.
Saw Brooke Wyckoff as a player when she was in school. Remember her career very well. She was outstanding, doing a good job with the ladies. It's worth mentioning. Also, it's worth mentioning if you're wondering when it's going to happen, it's going to be soon. Ventrell Cypress, the stud corner out of Virginia, is going to make his announcement. And I do believe we may hear good news on that. We may hear really good news on that. He is.
Is that a Jeff Cameron?
I'm not breaking anything here. I'm just hearing
Lewin career forecaster.
The Lewin. No, I am hearing that Florida State's in a good position for Ventrell Cypress. And for those that don't know who that is, I just mentioned where he played. He's the corner from Virginia. He's an elite player. He's the number one, depending on where you look, transfer portal player. So you get him, you're adding to your portal lore, which is as of now is growing. It's growing by the second. He visited Florida State the weekend before Christmas. Remember, Tom, I, for whatever reason, said, hey, man, it's a Rock Hill, South Carolina kid. And he's had coffee and decent roads. So good for him.
If the first media availability with Ventrell, if he does come to Tallahassee, you should walk in.
You make fun of the rest of the state?
Yeah, well, you should just say Rock Hill, South Carolina.
How are you,
man? And then walk up, shake his hand.
Yeah, he was all ACC. He's Pro Football Focus first team all ACC. 14 pass breakups. Holy moly, that's doing some things. When targeted, according to PFF, teams had a NFL passer rating of 58. Good. I mean, he's a dominant corner in this league. You get him. That's really good news in terms of the talent that you're able to supply that secondary with. Again, let's see how well he's coached once he gets here. But he's got the talent to do something about it.
That's the thing. And we all know where you stand. And we know where a large segment of the fan base stands on the weaknesses, deficiencies, things that aren't good enough on the defense. But Mike will tell you whether he believes it's principally a personnel issue or a coaching issue with whatever decisions he makes or does not make in the next month. I mean, plain and simple. Mike Norvell's vote is the one that counts the most, and we're going to see what he decides is the issue. Because if he thinks it's a personnel issue only, then we're going to roll with the same staff.
Well, I would also say, Tom, that yes, that's true. But it's also true that, you have a staff that is just put together, and they both had certainly the more consistent side of the ball was the offense, but they both had to come together to put together a staff in which that locker room couldn't be healthier. The players love playing here. There's a lot of people that make up that situation. It's not just one guy or two guys. And you have a cohesiveness, and you have a 10-win season. Sometimes coaches might be reluctant to upset the apple cart. I think the biggest factor when you're going to make changes are the decisions as to who you could bring in to replace that person or persons. And to me, you may see a problem as a coach. He may assess it and say, you would never tell us publicly or even privately, I don't think. Yeah, I hear you. We got some issues over here. We can do better. Our guys aren't always on the same page, and that's bothering me too. I'm a little frustrated by how many points we give up, et cetera. He might agree with all of that. But if he doesn't see the guy he wants or somebody that he would tab as a big-time difference maker, both in the world of recruiting within this state and also in terms of development, then maybe you hold off a year. Maybe you see maybe you look down the line and go, the guy I want is going to be available in a year, or his contract's up, or he'll be ready to move on then. Maybe he's already talked to somebody, in that situation.
Maybe coach has a Ron Dugan's resurgence. That could happen too.
That ain't gonna happen. But I'm just saying that's
would have said that about Ron last year too.
Hour number 2 forthcoming. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV, and 987654321.
This is Dr. Shannon Lord at Finn Chiropractic. Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Whether you have neck pain, back pain, headaches, joint stiffness, if you're tired all the time and just don't feel right and don't feel like yourself, these are things that we can help with in our office. Take advantage of our online special offer. Make an appointment online so we can get you in right away. Come visit our website at finnchiro.com, FENNCHIRO.com, because your chiropractor loves you and there's nothing you can do about it.
If you're hearing this right now and you or someone you know is active military, a veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a teacher, turn up the volume and listen to this. My friend Shannon with Legendary Home Loans has a Hometown Hero loan program designed to make a difference to those who make a difference. When it's time to buy a new home, he will waive all lender fees for all Hometown Heroes. That's a $1,600 value right out of the gate. Also, if you decide to use their preferred title company for their closing, you'll be saving another $600. That's $2,200 in discounts right off the top. That's like 20 tanks of gas in your car. And today, more than ever, it's important to save as much money as you can, wherever you can. So if you or someone you know is active military, veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a school teacher and looking to buy a new home, choose Shannon Young, Legendary Home Loans, and ask about their Hometown Heroes program. Call 844-FSU-LOAN or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. That's FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
Hi, this is Jamie McClenny from Trek Financial in Tallahassee. Managing downside risk in your portfolio is one of the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement. Trillions of dollars in stimulus from the Federal Reserve and D.C. politicians, combined with zero interest rates, have propped up financial markets since the financial crisis ended in 2009. The Fed recently ended quantitative easing and has started to raise interest rates at a time when the global economy was already slowing. Have you considered what another 50% correction in the stock market would do to your retirement plan? If you're concerned about where this all might be headed and would like to find out about the potential benefits of an active risk management strategy for your portfolio, give me a call at 850-900-5200 and schedule a time for a review of your portfolio from an active risk management perspective.
Make Jamie your first call for a second opinion. Investment advisory services are offered through Trek Financial, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. A suspect in the killings of 4 University of Idaho students has been arrested now in eastern Pennsylvania. 28-year-old Brian Christopher Koberger being held for extradition. The students stabbed to death at a rental home near the University of Idaho campus sometime in the early morning hours of November 13th. Southwest Airlines expecting to resume regular operations today.
Southwest customers have been feeling the pain of flight cancellations that began with a winter storm. Southwest hasn't said how many customers have been affected, but it's likely that far more than 1 million have had a flight canceled. Christina Ariazola tells WFAA-TV in Dallas that after several flights from Florida to Texas were scrapped, she decided to drive. Then she had to search a sea of luggage at Dallas-Fort Worth for her bag that had been missing for 5 days.
I've never seen anything like this. This is absolutely crazy.
She eventually found it. I'm Donna Warder.
Also at townhall.com, before he was arrested for fraud, Sam Bankman-Fried had multiple meetings with the Biden White House.
Accused cryptocurrency fraudster and Democratic donor Sam Bankman-Fried met with 4 Biden officials this year before the collapse of his company, FTX. According to Bloomberg, Fried held talks with senior White House advisor Steve Ricchetti on September 8th and April 22nd and May 12th, with another top aide in attendance. Fried's brother Gabriel had a solo meeting with White House officials on May 13th. Fried was the Democratic Party's second largest donor in the 2022 election cycle. He'll be arraigned in a Manhattan court on January 3rd, and if convicted on all charges, face 115 years in prison. Tasha Stevens reporting.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
Sleep Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-626-5252. That's 800-626-5252. 800-626-5252. The Gators are here.
The cup. Punched it with the right hand. Powered up. Goes out corner right. 3 on the way. Good, good, good. Shoots off the glass and in. Foul on the play.
This is Gator Country.
Goes to the tuck. Blocked from behind by Fudge. Angle right 3. Bang, got it. That'll do it. A W for the Gators.
This is Florida basketball on the Gators Sports Network.
Brought to you by Sellers. Get the Sellers Advantage. Capital Circle Northeast online at sellerstile.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
gets to 10 wins, and now we look very forward to the upcoming 2023 season and year ahead as we know now the scrutiny grows and the expectations change. It's only possible if you win some games. It's a good thing. Good to be with you. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. Director Matthew in the house as well. Happy holidays. Happy New Year in advance. All that good stuff. Mom will join us this hour, Tom. We're going to have her picks at the bottom of the hour. We'll get in there.
Any idea what the standings are at?
I'm still beating her ass. I got to double check on the number. It's still pretty lopsided here as we go. I think it's either I'm up by 8, 9, 10, something like that. So it's a good.
The mattress side continues.
It's a it's a solid victory. I'm excited by the rebounded effort from yours truly here, and so we'll see. I know we both had I think almost the exact same picks the week before where we were not on the air, I believe is how that works. So I double check what that was. But either way, I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little tired. I had to call my grandmother. My grandmother's 96 years old. I bring this up a lot. Sharp as a tack. Still drives, still doing for herself, still happy. But she's an Oklahoma graduate. She's an OU graduate. And she called me before the game. She's such a respectful, classy woman. She said, "Hun, I just hope you and the boys see a great game tonight. I hope it's a great game. Obviously, I went to Oklahoma, so normally I root for you guys, but she was hesitant to tell me that she might be pulling slightly for her alma mater. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay, Grandma. You can root for Oklahoma. You went there. You did. It's all right. Root for OU." And then she says, "I just want it to be a great game, and maybe in the end, what, Oklahoma wins, Grandma? Well, maybe. I hope it's a great game."
So wait a minute. She's 96 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that means that she would have been the class in the 40s. She would have been OU graduate in the 1940s.
Mm-hmm.
Good God. That
impressive.
Is unbelievable.
So she has seen more often than not, unfortunately for us, Oklahoma, of course, beat Florida State. And she has seen runs of dominance in their illustrious history that are well documented. And so, but it was nice. It was funny. She was like, but you know what, by the way, 96-year-old sharp as a tack grandma Marco Polo'd her great grandsons to say, "Congratulations to FSU. I know you guys were excited. That was a great game." And she stayed up for the whole thing.
So she would have been in her 30s when we beat them in the 60s with Bolitnikov.
The one time previous to last night.
Because Bolitnikov went off for nearly 200 yards that game.
Yeah.
But she would have been in her 30s. She would have been close to my age when we beat when we beat them the only other time in the series history. That is just remarkable.
Yeah. No, it's cool, man. I will say this. I mean, I'm very, very close to her. Very, very, very close to her. I love her dearly. And she sometimes watches the show, so she might be watching on her computer right now. Hello, Grandma. And I would just bring this up that, well, her and my granddad, he's been deceased for a very long time now. He also went to Oklahoma. I talk about the ties in my family. We have a family farm out there and all this. When I was growing up as a little kid, man, going over to my granddad's house for Oklahoma, Texas. Oh, I mean, that was a sight for a young kid. I didn't know what was going on. I mean, he had the gear on. I mean, he hated Texas. It was hilarious. I mean, he would get loose starting early in the day. It was time to get it on. I mean, it was like, and he would smoke. My granddad smoked like a pack and a half a day. Now, he was like a 6'3" guy with the buzz cut, served in two. I mean, he's a badass. Army, whole thing. Had crazy jobs his whole life. Like, owned a newspaper in Oklahoma, then worked on an oil field, then moved to Atlanta and sold real estate, then sold yachts in Miami in the 60s. And then, I mean, he had a life, like friends with, it's like, you would go through pictures in the drawer and be like, "Granddad, is this you with Sammy Davis?" Yeah, me and Sammy were close. It was good times. He used to come down to Miami with Frank Sinatra. I mean, that kind of guy. Funny dude.
Bill Brasky.
He was that guy. And he would sit and he'd bourbon, cigarettes. And he would here's the funny thing. He's light a cigarette. Oklahoma, Texas. He's lighting up a cigarette, 11 a.m., pouring a drink. "Here we go. We got to beat those bastards today." He called me Bud. It was the best.
Perhaps that is the birth of the Cat 5 Maintain. Is in your little child mind, you thought, Granddad's got to calm down a little bit here.
No, but the cool part about him, he's a great storyteller. He had a lot of cool stories. He saw some amazing things in his life. But he had, again, you start, own, sell, eventually your own newspaper in Oklahoma. It's pretty cool. So he would tell you these stories, and you'd watch and you'd think, I think that's Granddad's sixth bourbon. It's 2 p.m, and I can't tell the difference. He's fine. He's just right here with you. Next time my dad's in town, ask him about
get him some bourbon?
No, ask him about my granddad, because he knew my granddad when my granddad was in his 30s and 40s. So he saw the version of my granddad that's your age and my age. So he knew that man. He knew who he was and what he was about. And he talked about how intimidating he was, how nervous he'd get having to go ask my mom out for a date, talk to him. And then when my dad went into the Army, Granddad was like, taking you down. We're going to go have a drink together before you leave, and turned into a lot of them and all of that. But that's the Oklahoma tie that I bring up. I bring it back to sports, bring it back to the game here for a second. Those are the Oklahoma ties and the Native American ties. And it's all on that side, that side of the family. And fun people still are. Grandma, if you're watching, I love you. That was a great game last night.
Suck at Oklahoma. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I can picture her having watched that, and she is really that kind of classy. She would have just been like, well, I'm happy for Jeffrey and the kids. That's great. And gone to bed. Just been like, all right, that was a good game. She was worried. She said, I don't know if we're enough competition for you this year. We haven't been very good. She watches every Oklahoma game. I hope I'm 96 and you or anybody else can talk to me and I'm able to accurately assess the kind of season Florida State's had in a given year, where if you call me and I go, Tom, we really are struggling at the tackle position. We really, I'd love to be able to do that. She still can.
She strikes me. I've only met her, I think, one time. She was at the old studios. Your mom and your grandmother came by just to say hello and see the studio. But she strikes me as somebody who watches a football game. When something happens, she goes, oh, no, those poor young men. I feel terrible.
My mom's at that stage now, too, where she'll be like, she'll be like, oh, I'm so sad. Like, even if the Bucks beat somebody and she's rooting for the Bucks, if the other team played well and they're pros getting paid millions of dollars, she'll be like, oh, they played so hard. I hate it for them. I'm like, screw them, Mom. No, don't feel bad for that dude. He's going to be all right. He'll go home and think about the loss tonight in his mansion. He'll be okay. No, that's
I know.
I don't know where you thought I was going.
I didn't know.
No, yeah, he'll go cry it off in his.
He'll go home and then you changed course. I was like, ooh, what was he going to say?
Well, he'll go home and chill in his pinch a penny hot tub and have himself a cold one and think about how they're going to get better next week.
It's time for Tub Talk, brought to you by Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas. Buy yourself the hot tub you've always wanted at the price you've always wanted from Pinch a Penny on Greer Street. Now it's live to the tub.
I'm glad we got that win. I told you before the game that it would not change the course that Florida State was on, that the season in its entirety before the exhibition game last night had already shaped what we would think about Florida State's potential going into next year, what our expectations would be, and that would not change whether we won or lost this particular game. But again, wins and losses happen for a reason. They elicit emotions. When you're in the stands and you're at that game and you desperately want it for a lot of the kids of a very likable team, and the game is on the line, is in the balance, you suddenly remove yourself from those bouts of logic and reason and even-handed discussion, fair-minded talk, and thrust yourself into the realm of overreaction and extreme emotional, moments of recoil and celebration. And even though I'm pretty calm watching Florida State football these days, good or bad, for the most part, even down a couple scores, I turned to Bryce. I'm like, we're all right. Can't let it get to be 3 scores, but we're going to be okay.
Well, the key of that hold was that it's about a 14-point swing in the second quarter. You get to the break at 17-11. And
you feel really good.
Yeah, you should be down 14 or more.
Oh, I thought Oklahoma probably walked off the field frustrated.
Yeah.
Because even though they were substantial underdogs, they had the better of it in the first half, and they're only up 6. And they know Florida State's going to put points on the board because Florida State has put points on this board ever since the end of the 3-game losing streak. They have lit up the scoreboard against everybody. And Oklahoma's defense hasn't gotten a ton of stops against the better teams they've faced. So he has to know that's not enough. That's not going to be enough. That's frustrating. And then Florida State really started throwing the ball exceptionally well, and Jordan Travis lit them up. They were able to, and Norvell does a great job of creating mismatches and finding and Jordan's getting better at obviously pre-snap, understanding where the one-on-one is that you want to exploit, where the mismatch is. And I thought on numerous occasions where they got Johnny Wilson lined up and how they were able to get him in one-on-ones, either against a corner or a safety. That last one's on a safety. That can't happen if you're Oklahoma. You can't have an under 6-foot safety trying to run. Now, to his credit, he ran with Johnny, but he got manhandled, and that's gonna happen.
Johnny had to do the one-handed
and
stop
get off
of the
me
ball
bitch moment too,
and then secure with the other hand. I mean, that was a difficult catch.
Oh, it's a very difficult catch. The truth about Johnny Wilson, if we're assessing him now, is obviously Florida State's better with him than without him, without question. But that dude will drop the easiest catch on the field. He will make some of the more difficult catches in extreme circumstances. He did it during the regular season. I know Norvell brought it up after the game last night. Tough third down catches that you got to have, either underthrown or overthrown balls, and he makes those plays. God help you if he's running free down the middle of the field for a walk-in touchdown, because he's damn sure going to drop that one. And
he's like Mike Evans light in that way.
It's a little frustrating, but as they say, you take the good with the bad. If the upside is huge, you got to do that. But it is infinitely frustrating to watch guys drop passes that children catch. So they're extremes.
What was interesting about last night to me was I am, like you, a lot more level-headed about an exhibition game. And, whether you're on a board or the chat during the show, I mean, I'm seeing some of these takes on how basically now we suck. Like we were never good to begin with. We're frauds.
Oh, those are the takes?
Well, and that's going to happen. That, that's the nature of that
fandom
type of, that's
and dumbassery that goes with it. Yes.
And also social media and things like that. It tends to stoke those fires. But what I will say with all of those crazy retorts, it did rise above the threshold of, okay, this is just an exhibition game in terms of the concern level I had, because the trends that we saw last night were tied to the Florida game and are now a thing where against better competition, our defense looks confused and they don't look tough enough.
They get exposed.
And so if they hadn't done that all year and it happened last night,
bowl game, whatever.
Yes, exactly. I poo-pooed a little bit. But you can't when you look at what Florida did and what Oklahoma did. And while the best versions of those two offenses are legitimately good in college football on mediocre overall teams, it shouldn't matter, man. That's not acceptable. And that's something that I'm glad is a lasting memory for the staff and the players as they go into the offseason. There are no illusions about what you are after those last 8 quarters of football. There are no illusions about what needs to get better. And we'll see how Mike Norvell goes about improving those things. We already know that personnel, there's a lot of help on the way, but is there anything beyond that? You're going into the offseason with a bit of a sour taste in your mouth if you're assessing Florida State defensively.
I have been for weeks, and I would rather be wrong. I would rather have that, thrown back in my face. Sometimes it happens. I get it wrong sometimes, but I was not in love with this defense for most of the year. Felt like we kind of got lucky in the second half of the season against some of the offenses we faced, either with backup quarterbacks or real problems within the group at the time that we faced them. It's also not something to then dismiss the kind of campaign that they had. It can be both. You can say Florida State got a lot better. There are things you like about the defense, even in the midst of all this discussion. It can be both, that you say they're good, but they got a lot of room to grow. That's true too. I mean, I think we try way too hard to make things fit neatly in a box. We want everything to be very simple and plainly evident. And that's not the way it works. Most things are nuanced.
Especially in football.
It's not black and white. A lot of times it's gray. There are a lot of other areas in which this affects that and that affects this, and it all adds up to this, and what can we do better? And it's okay to have those discussions and be critical while also acknowledging the successes within the group that you're criticizing. So, I mean, that's it. That it's a challenge for people in all walks of life, all of us, myself included. But you can get caught up in that way when you're frustrated in the moment. Unfortunately, the Florida State fan, I say that loosely, that sat to my right I sat on the one side, my two boys next to me, and then this guy was the dumbest fan I've ever been around. He may be okay. He was not a bright guy. Screamed bloody murder after every play. Every play, we were the worst coach team in America or the best coach team in America, and every play featured Oklahoma cheating or that there should be a penalty on Oklahoma. I mean, this is that guy.
Right. It makes you want to buy season tickets, right?
Reminds me why I'm an elitist ass who doesn't want to sit in the stands. So I was sitting there thinking, oh, man, that's unfortunate. We happen to be sitting next to that guy, this guy. And it was funny to listen to him go through the emotional highs and lows of a series, of a singular series. And if we punted, Mike Norvell is the biggest idiot to ever coach an offense. If we scored, you've got no chance, Oklahoma, you bums. You're lucky to be here. Followed by, that's a penalty. Anytime Oklahoma had a successful play, if they stopped us, either Mike's a dumbass or that was a penalty that the refs missed.
Randy Quaid, Major League.
Unbelievable how that went. I thought, imagine having to live like that. How difficult that would be. How hard it would be to get through a singular game. You're going to have a heart attack. My point is there's nuance to all of these discussions. It's okay. You can be critical of a thing and also acknowledge its pluses and then move forward. Relatively even keel, figuring it out along the way.
There was this guy in our row back in the day in the old Ice Palace, and we had multiple years of season tickets where we're on the aisle on one side, he's on the aisle the other side, section 122, probably a 20-person row, so it's relatively close. And his favorite thing to say when he was pissed at somebody is, "Get off the ice!" Name player, "Get off the ice, Cabina!" And my dad wore down over the course of
I could see it. I was wearing down in a singular game.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like, sir.
And my dad does this thing. We have similar mannerisms when we're watching games, but, he'll do this thing where he's just sitting up and he puts his hand here. And then if he gets pissed, he'll rub his temple and he'll do one of these
He's
numbers.
trying to calm himself. So, it's a means by which,
as a teenager, you're almost kind of a masochist. You kind of enjoy your parents being uncomfortable.
Being frustrated.
So I'm watching, I'm like munching on my popcorn, kind of smiling, and he's rubbing the temple. "Get off the ice, Cabina!" And my dad's just, And one magical night, he broke. And my dad screamed at the guy. And they had it out for about 10, 15 seconds, shouting match back and forth. He goes, "Get out of the building, a-hole!" And so it went.
It went back and forth.
But it is the joys of season tickets is everybody has that guy around them, and then they have the group that they trade high fives with. Then there's also the crew that they're the high five friends. They might not even know each other's name, but that guy's always solid. He knows when to turn around. He gives a good high five.
Yeah, by the way, you might describe it as the joy of owning season tickets. I would call it something entirely different. The Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Car accident? Call 777-7777 for Basic Brooks.
In 1788, Robert Burns wrote a poem to herald the coming of the new year and set the lyrics to an old Scottish tune. The little song became quite popular among the Scots and the British as the words recalled the days gone by, bidding farewell to the old and welcoming the new. Band leader Guy Lombardo is often credited with popularizing the use of the song at New Year's celebrations in America. Through his annual broadcasts on radio and television beginning in 1929, the song became his trademark. This New Year's Year's Eve, millions will gather across the world in celebration and at the stroke of midnight, join together in singing Auld Lang Syne. Wishing you all the best in the new year and reminding you to be safe and never drink and drive. From Wit and Class on South Monroe, call 222-5781. Mahan Animal Clinic on Mahan Drive, call 402-0557. And by Sellers on Capitol Circle Northeast, call 850-656-8453.
Choose Hearth and Patio for custom fireplaces, maintenance, outdoor grills, kitchens, fire pits, lighting, and so much more. Check out all of Hearth and Patio's options online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're fine.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service, right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mandlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
Hey, this is Greg Tish. Here's something you might know about me. I don't drink coffee. I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. Well, that is until now. So why change now? Well, it's because my dear friend at Grassroots Coffee reached out to me after hearing me say that and insisted that I give his product a try. I've been making a huge mistake. The world of coffee is fascinating. I always thought coffee is coffee, you know? No, it's not. I have tried their coffee and it is fantastic. Now, I've got a fascination with learning more about the best coffee in our area. Grassroots Coffee is locally roasted, locally owned, and locally loved. You can find whole bean Grassroots Coffee on the local aisle at Publix, also in Whole Foods, but the best way to get this black gold is to order it online. They literally grind the fresh roasted beans to your preferred level, bag it, write the date on it by hand so you know the exact day your coffee was roasted. It doesn't get any more fresh than that. Order yours now. Just go to grassrootscoffee.com and choose the coffee you want and how you want it, and join me. Let's step up our coffee game together and also support a great local business.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com.
But alas, it is no more. The music, it gave us a gift briefly as bumper. It now has decided to take a respite. So we'll see if we can get it done. Should know, by the way, in terms of one way or the other, where the three young men that we're waiting on and what it is they're going to decide to go pro or stay here at FSU and return. We should know by January 3rd or 4th is what I'm hearing. So maybe sooner. Who knows? But it's going to be fascinating if you are able to get two of those three back. It's going to be fascinating, too, if you're adding to this class. Mentioned before that I think there's a good chance that Florida State's going to get the right answer that they want from Ventrell Cypress. So let's hope that's the case, because he's one of the better corners, if not the best corner that is in the portal. All right. Do we have the ability? Mama and I are ready to go here, and we will get to the wager and fire it up.
And now for another edition of the Family Pick. Nick.
Go to your room! Ma, the meatloaf!
Take it away, Jeffrey.
Mama, I take it we both had the Cowboys, who did not look very good last night, but they did win, and we had them. I assume you did?
I did have the Cowboys. Yeah, I thought, Tennessee had a chance in that game, but I felt like Dallas would win. But yeah, I don't know. They didn't look real good, but they were good enough to get the victory.
By 2 scores. Now, I think, Mom, that you and I think it's still like 8 or 9. Did we?
I just told Tom it's 7.
Oh, okay.
And I told him I have to get you educated here. But anyway, I have all the picks from last week, and I'm not sure about all yours, but from last week, but I think I knew who you had picked. And from what I can tell, I'm 7 down. I was 5, and then I lost 2, so I'm back down to 7.
All right. So you have you're still significantly behind very late in the year.
I absolutely am, and with only 2 games left. But we do the playoffs too, don't we?
We do the playoffs, and actually, you could make up ground here because a lot of these, it's going to get really weird, where you have some teams who have nothing to gain, some teams who have a ton to gain, some teams who are without starters, and guys are about to sit for the end of the year, and all this other stuff. It's strange. Let's get to the games then. With me up 7 as we enter the weekend to come, which is Cardinals and Falcons in a game that really they ought to pay us to watch if you are forced to tune in.
I know. The Battle of the Birds. I know that's a terrible game. There's a few of these games this week, and you're right, though. I actually think the very beginning of the season and then as we get towards the end, it's very hard because, like you say, some of these people don't have any reason to care, and then you don't know. Some of these people have injuries and the quarterbacks are not playing. I don't know, but I took Atlanta.
I took Atlanta as well. The Bears are at the Lions.
Yeah, I took Detroit.
The Jags are at the Texans.
I took the Jaguars.
Broncos are at the Chiefs.
I took the Chiefs.
The Dolphins are at the Patriots.
Okay, yeah. Now, I don't think Tagliavua, or how we say his name, Tua, I don't think Tua is playing.
No, his brains are scrambled yet again.
Okay, yeah, I took New England.
Yeah, it's New England. I don't know that Tua will ever be able to play again. Good Christ, he gets a concussion every week. Colts at Giants.
Yeah, I took the Giants.
Saints at Eagles.
Oh, okay. Well, that might be the easiest pick of the week. Although, now, is their quarterback playing?
I believe he is. Yes, he's back.
Okay, well, I took Philadelphia.
I did too. Saints have a good defense. That could be a lower scoring game than people expect. Panthers at Bucks.
Yeah, okay. Now, I am taking the Bucks. I feel like we're home. We can win the division. What's his name? Wirfs is back. And Jensen, I'm not sure if he's going to play, but he's been practicing.
I'm going to take the Panthers. I think the Panthers on the road beat the Bucks. I
say that too. Well, I know the Panthers have been playing better, but I just really feel like the Bucks have a lot to play for, and they're home. And I think I really wish Jensen would play.
Oh, if Jensen plays, I would feel different too. Yes, the Bucks offensive line sucks. It would be nice to have him back.
It really would. He's been out there practicing, and they said they could activate him at any time.
Well, let's get to activating.
That's what I say. Let's not fool around. We need him out there.
All right. Well,
all right. So you took Carolina.
I did. Feels like the Bucks are going to throw this away, and they're not real good.
No, they are not.
They tried to lose to the Arizona Cardinals, Mom, who might be one of the 2 worst teams in football.
I know they did. But they did. They pulled it out. Thank God for suck up.
Yeah. Well, I guess Browns at Commanders.
Yeah, now you know I like the Commanders. But I think, wait a minute, let me just make sure that I did take the Browns. I'm pretty sure I did. Where are they? Maybe I didn't.
It doesn't really matter. You heard the 2 teams that are participating.
Here I'm looking at my sheet, my famous sheet. I took Washington.
I'll take Washington as well. Yeah, these 2 teams aren't very good. We'll go 49ers at Raiders.
Oh, yeah, I took the 49ers.
Jets at Seahawks.
I'm taking the Jets.
I'll take the Jets as well. That's tough. That's tough. Man, that's tough. Vikings at Packers. Ooh.
Now, that is a good game, I think. Although, I don't know. It's at the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
They really have a lot to play for, right? I mean,
yes.
They have to win out.
Yes.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I took Green Bay.
I did too.
Okay.
The Rams are at the Chargers.
Chargers.
Steelers are at the Ravens.
Yeah, now the Ravens don't have...
Is Lamar coming back, Tom? Do we know? No, it doesn't look good. Woo, this could be a good one. That's a good Sunday night game right there.
I know. I took Pittsburgh.
I'm going to take the Ravens. So we have another one different, and then we have a great game here. Bills at Bengals. Can't wait.
This is a barn burner. And I know the Bengals are really hot, but I am taking the Bills.
I'm going to take the Bengals. So we've got three different. There we go. Could be an interesting weekend.
I kind of felt like you would, and I actually think that's a good pick. Can you hear the new dog in the background?
I can hear the new dog in the background.
Can you hear Ruby Mabel?
Yeah, Ruby Mabel is very excited to be in the room with you. I can hear her.
She's not in the room, but I don't know. You know, I know we're getting off the subject, but you know how our dogs are barkers. Well, at least Maggie is. Well, and what we didn't need was another barker, but I do believe we have one.
Well, you got to train him, Mom.
Oh, Lordy. I think that she's 5. I think it's past training. I don't know, but she's funny. I actually think she might bark more than Maggie, but
all right. Well, she made it through this segment, Mom. Good job. I love you.
I love you too. Yes, that's right. It's at the very end. All right, you guys have a good weekend, and congratulations on your win. I heard you talking about your grandmother and your grandfather.
Yeah, great guy.
The earlier segment.
I think it was an apt descriptor.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Oh, no. Yeah. And you were talking about me too. Now, listen, I'm not that way with pro players. I do say that about college players. Like when a game is so good and they all play so hard and somebody has to lose. I do feel for the college kids more than, but the pros, I understand. They just got to suck it up. But I do get sad for the college kids when they lose like a really important game. So,
all right. Well, thank you for the clarification.
Yes, I wanted to clear that up. But anyway, all right, sweetie. Well, I love you. And you guys have a great weekend.
Love you too, Mama. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There you go. Oh, boy. I took Carolina because I think right now they're a lot better coached. That's all there is to it. They have had a rather remarkable turnaround with not anything to play for. They already beat the Bucs once. Our line is terrible.
You need Vita in that game.
Well, you desperately need him because if the Panthers run, they win. And every statistical measure shows that they'll run against the Bucs. Now, who knows? We're Jekyll and Hyde. It's a coin flip game. I'm not going to tell you I think the Panthers are Super Bowl bound or anything. I mean, I get that they're not good, but I think the Bucs are terrible.
Well, what's crazy is, though, if you assess Todd Bowles as a coordinator, the defense has been fine this year. And they're averaging under, I think it's 18 points a game.
I know. They're one of those
22, 23 points a game. You know,
they
would have clinched the division already.
Well, agreed. If we're just going by those numbers, that's true. But you also know that teams that want to run against us can run against us.
Well, Akeem Hicks has always been an injury concern.
And when he's healthy, they're much better, right?
But even still, with their injury issues they've had there, they've been decimated at safety for the better part of the last month.
That secondary can never stay healthy for more than a week.
And yet they're one of, I think it's 8 or 9 teams in the NFL that have held their season-long opponents under 300 points for the season. So they're one of the best defenses in the NFL.
The problem is, though, that and I know we can't score. There is overwhelming evidence we can't score. And I think the other part of that, beyond the play calling and the offensive line, both are obvious issues.
Yep.
I do think with the down-the-field throws, the shoulder problem for Brady is pretty evident.
It's got to be.
He's wildly inaccurate down the field in a way that he's never been. Now, that could be age, but I feel like it's much more the injury.
Because the line sucks.
No, he takes an ass beating, yeah.
Yeah.
And at that age, you can't take an ass beating. It's tough to do. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Our local news now.
The Tallahassee Police Department has made an arrest on Thursday following a shooting incident that occurred on Wednesday, December 28th at Terra Lake's apartment that left one woman dead in a parking lot. It was determined a woman received a ride home from a known individual, and once arriving in the apartment complex, 21-year-old Kenadrick Smith approached the woman who he knew personally, and an argument ensued. During the argument, Smith robbed the driver at gunpoint and shot the woman, who died from her injuries at the scene. Smith was arrested and charged with first-degree homicide, aggravated assault with a firearm, and robbery with a firearm. The Tallahassee Fire Department responded to a structure fire Wednesday evening along the 500 block of Putnam Drive. They discovered heavy fire coming through the roof of the house when they arrived around 10:30 p.m. The fire was located in the attic. The cause of the fire appears to be electrical nature. No injuries were reported. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MaclemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Slight chance for scattered storms this afternoon. Otherwise, mainly cloudy skies expected. Highs around 75. Winds out of the southeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overcast skies tonight. Scattered thunderstorms likely. Lows level off around 62. Scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. Highs level off around 72. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 70.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hey, what's happening, Jeff?
It is always good to see you, Eddie. Had a long day, my man. I was thinking about it. Gordo's was the place to ease the pain, you know? You're frustrated with your job, your aggravated life's beating you down. Maybe your wife's speaking. You got to get out the door.
You know what? Here at Gordo's, man, we welcome everybody. Disgruntled wives, disgruntled husbands, kids running away from home. We'll even give that kid a job. Send them our way.
Go make some money and eat delicious food at Gordo's. It's perfect.
And have a damn good time doing it.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Greg Tish here along with
Matty Rowe.
And you can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Matt, we give away a couple things each week.
Just a few.
We've got the Florida Farm Bureau Insurance Wheel of Food. We have Give Me a Second, where we play a second of a song and you guess that song. And we also play FLA or Nay. We have a lot of fun Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on
The Greg Tish Show.
Think that's enough?
We can talk about our feelings.
No, that's a lot.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
It's Jeff Cameron Show on a Libations Friday, and a celebratory one at that. Wonder, you know, after this game, and it was really cool walking out of that stadium and seeing the euphoria. And it'd been a minute since we had gone to a bowl game, covered a bowl game, been able to kind of immerse ourselves in that atmosphere. And the pregame show, we had a good time, Tom. You and I did at the Harry Buffalo, meeting everybody. It was a good time.
That's a good setup for sports watching.
Yeah, next year we'll make sure the sound can be heard as we go to the second hour, and everybody will be all right, because that wasn't on us. And I'm not trying to rip the place, but there was a problem with one of the cords, and we'll be there in plenty of time before the LSU game to ensure that the audio is where it needs to be. For those that were there and got to hear that first hour, great. If you missed that, sorry. The second hour was mostly inaudible because of the music that was blaring. And I'm not blaming them again. I'm just talking to the folks that came out to see us, who were great and excited to be there. And either way, I think everybody had a good time, and it was a lot of fun. And we will probably be at that very venue again. And it was ideal. It was ideal. And I couldn't help but think about what the attitudes are going to be like heading into next season. I talk about that feeling of euphoria after a win.
I was kind of curious to see, I will be kind of curious, I should say, to see what happens for Florida State fans as we now enter into the realm of expectations, legitimate expectations of a very, very talented offense every week of next season, and what we expect from this defense, how much further they can grow going into next year. It will be different. This year was very much a kumbaya year. Yeah, you had people complaining during the 3-game losing streak, as there should be. Yes, you're always going to have people who are never satisfied. But I think that this fan base, as a group, 85%, 90% felt like this season was an overwhelming success, step forward, and reason to believe going into next year. So you could feel that walking out of the stadium too.
Yeah, they understand that the grander process needed this to get going in the right direction. And now we can argue about how the job is finished, and that's coming. The family is going to argue about where the final couple of grand goes in the vacation. Does it go to an excursion? Does it go to an extra night stay? What does it go to? And that's going to be fun. I'd rather have that discussion than the discussions we've had the last 4 or 5 years, which is, are we done bottoming out yet?
Yeah.
Have we reached
Have we reached rock bottom?
Can it get worse than this? How many times did we ask that question on this show, or was it written about in a column? The Noles have hit rock bottom. And then they find a new way to redefine what rock bottom is until J-State. And now we're finally on the way back up. It's nice to see. But again, next year, you're also not going to surprise anybody on your schedule. And in that final stretch of the year, most of those teams post-bye week couldn't do anything about it if they tried, because of the backup quarterback situation or the injury situation or just the lack of talent on those teams that we beat 4 out of the last 5 games before we get to Florida. But you saw against the Gators and you saw against the Sooners teams that had to ramp it up because they know what we're capable of. I mean, Oklahoma sent a message not only in their productivity, but also Dylan Gabriel was not shy about talking to our defense. He wasn't shy about hyping everything up. You're going to see that for all 12 games next year. Florida State is no longer going to sneak up on people. They will be a team that is circled on the schedule that comes with a different challenge. And so they've got to get ready for that. And I think it's a good dress rehearsal these last 2 games of, look, you might even face a mediocre team, but they're going to play over their heads because they know they have to not get embarrassed by you.
Yeah, I talked with the Georgia site for On3, Dogs HQ, and previewing the Ohio State Georgia game. And my first question to the guy, Palmer, was, hey, last year it felt like for Georgia that you had better cash in these chips. You've worked too hard to get to a place where your roster is littered with NFL talent. You've got to win the championship. You've been building to this moment. Kirby got them into the playoff the year previous. Then they won the national championship. And now this season has very much been about, can you hang on to it? You're the hunted. You are now top dog in college football. Has there been a different feel for you covering this team, for these fans, these players, this coaching staff? And he went about answering the question. And I think about that as it applies to Florida State, to your point. Florida State wasn't a hunted team coming into this season. They were an afterthought. They were scribbled in as a W on the pocket schedule for a lot of fans of opposing teams. They were, we get Florida State week 7. This should be all right, because this was not a program of any significance beyond its history coming into this season. It was not one showing you upward mobility. There was no reason to look at a 5-7 program and say anything other than, I think we'll beat Florida State. And it always obviously rubs you the wrong way when your team is thought that way, but it's really tough to handle that from opposing fans when those fans are collectively rooting for Syracuse or any of the other bums in this league that felt like Florida State would be a win. And that bothers you to no end, but that's gone. That's gone. Florida State, it doesn't take long for programs like Florida State with real cachet and real history and 3 national titles and umpteenth All-Americans and 25 10-win seasons and a bazillion bowl appearances. It doesn't take long for Florida State to rightfully reclaim their place atop the upper echelon of college football or within the realm. Now you are most assuredly everybody, along with Clemson in this league's target. You are the one. You are now somebody that they can bolster the way they feel about themselves, up their ranking and belief in what's possible for their program, because Florida State unequivocally will go in next season and be thought of as at least the second best team in the ACC. They still have to prove it against Clemson. Until that happens, Clemson will be top dog. And we should have probably beaten Clemson this year. That offense was pedestrian, or at least the passing game was, for the bulk of the season. Unfortunately, once again, there's another example where somebody's offense outshined many of the other performances they had against lesser teams in Florida State. That's why we're looking at the defense. 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you. But the point is, Florida State will be thought of as the second best team in the ACC. They will be ranked that way accordingly. You will go into next year's game against LSU as a top 15 club, maybe a top 10 club, depending on how excited the AP voters are going into the year. And I would tell you that is a different feel week in and week out to getting everybody's best shot, as opposed to, as you described, correctly being able to, or aptly being able to sneak up on folks. Now, that's no way. Everybody knows who Jordan Travis is. Everybody knows now who Johnny Wilson is. Everybody knows who Trey Benson is. And I think they certainly know this offense is capable of dropping 40-plus points in a given afternoon against any team in this conference.
And we had run for 200 yards 7 straight times leading into last night. And Brent put some things on film, Coach Venables, that I think are going to be duplicated to start next season by some of our opponents. And we'll see what wrinkles that Mike has to play off of that. Perhaps Jordan Travis, look, Oklahoma's secondary is awful, but perhaps Jordan Travis is still challenged, even though he has shown that he can be a capable to really good thrower of the football now. Maybe that's the way the teams play us to start next year, is that he's going to be challenged to make the difference in the air. He's going to have, if you get 500 yards in a given game, and I think it's fair to expect that Florida State's going to rack up 500 yards in a lot of games next season. How do you get there? Is it more passing or more on the ground? I think we're going to be challenged to do it through the air, because if you allow us to run on you and get in that rhythm, that's your ass, man.
The rushing attack that Florida State possessed for much of this season, and that we were able to fall back on so frequently, is something that every defense of the middling teams in the ACC, so anybody not named Clemson, or NC State's defense was good this year, they are going to have to commit an extra body the way that Oklahoma did last night. And you're right. That will present one-on-one matchups. In certain situations, you'll get great looks. I also will predict that offensively, another area that you're going to see a quantum leap forward for this team, and why they could throw for 300-plus yards every game. The tight end room is about to be significantly overhauled with very real talent. Now, I said probably week 4 or 5, Tom, that I had real belief in Marcuston Douglas to be a very good player for this team.
An excellent way to go into the offseason for that young man.
Well, I also think he's a problem against anybody playing zone ever. He is a matchup nightmare. And he's proving himself now as a receiver of the football. He had less than natural hands for much of this year. He's looking more comfortable out there. He has transitioned nicely
to
now
a new sport
into the role where he really is, and he's a big physical weapon. You marry that with the H-back type and the 6'7" Morlock kid, you are talking about a dynamic room as opposed to a real minus of the segment groups. Like most of this season, I went into every week knowing that the other team had the better tight end room and were equipped to utilize that strength against us. Whereas now I feel like Florida State will have versatility in that room, and, not just those options, but the ability to play it the way you want to play it. So any way you want to play it, that's going to be a huge upgrade.
And your favorite linebacker caught a 2-point conversion last night.
He did. He's right there on the verge of making the transition over to linebacker, where now that you're bringing in some linebackers to aid the process of depth, this will be good. You're right. No, you actually, problem for him, Tom, is that I think now more than ever he needs to look at linebacker, because you're bringing in real tight ends here. So, oh, I missed it.
There's a couple few.
Jeff, can you name the position referring to the transfer portal statement you made? Yeah, I did. I ended up telling you that it was Fintrell Cypress. Cypress, yeah, the corner from Virginia. I'm sorry, I was not talking down to you. You asked that question over an hour ago, and I didn't get to it, so it was probably a timely question at the time. Sorry about that. Timely question at the time. You can tell I'm tired. You can tell I'm tired. What is the JCS balance of pre-bowl activities? 2014, we played at Disneyland and sucked. This year, public events and almost lost. I don't know. What are we going to do for the trip to Orlando next year? What are we going to? What are the pre-game
there's no
festivities?
bowl events. You don't have to do any stuff like that for a season opening game. You do that for bowl games only.
I want to get down there early. I think I want to rent a house, a really nice one with a pool and a giant grill, and friends and family can come on over and we'll do it up a couple days in advance. Maybe find some of the. I'm going to say something that nobody thought I would say. Good on you, Orlando. You've grown up quite a bit.
Holy Jesus.
You've grown up quite a bit.
Holy Jesus.
I largely had painted the picture of Orlando in my mind with the frequent times that I had made the trip in the 90s and some in the early 2000s, more often than not, saddled with the responsibility of going to Disney World and dealing with all that entails. But there are areas of Orlando that have grown up in terms of the arts and music and beer and food. Good job.
Holy Jesus.
I know, you're shocked, right? And then finally, Florida Man in Texas writes a few dollars towards the IRA Game Day Wardrobe Fund. Orange and green? Come on, man. Woo! And Dave wants Warchant merch, especially for Ira to wear.
Yeah, we'll get on that.
I did.
Orlando.
So did he wear orange and blue or
no?
orange?
I think it was green, but then the lanyard was orange, if I recall. So you can't do anything about the lanyard.
Yeah.
It's the Cheez-It Bowl. Cheez-It is orange, yellow.
By the way, one final note on the Cheez-It Bowl. Good on you, King Cheesy guy.
Yeah,
Whatever that
Prince
was.
Chedward.
He was awesome.
I think that dude should be now in Tallahassee for the year. If you win the Cheez-It Bowl, the mascot comes with you.
I loved him. He made me laugh. He was stupid and goofy the way that guys were wearing suits as a mascot should be. Glorious. We got to go. Happy New Year, everybody.
Hey.
We'll talk to you next week. Good O's. Be well.